Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today you're probably going to hear the most non-political analysis that I can come up with for Hillary Clinton's email server. And I am not going to be rehashing this from years ago, should she or shouldn't she have whatever. I don't care if you love Hillary Clinton or you hate Hillary Clinton. This is basically going to be calling balls and strikes with some brand new declassified information that came to light as of about 2 days ago or so. Now, I find this very interesting, but this was a 105-page memo. The title was Investigation of the DOJ's and FBI's Handling of the Clinton Investigation. This is from the Finance Committee, Homeland Security, and Governmental Affairs Committees to basically the head of the Finance Committee and the head of Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee. Those are Senators Grassley and Johnson. Both are Republicans. Now, here's why I'm bringing this up is because we have been hearing since about 2018, although we didn't have the exact records of this, that it's very possible that Hillary Clinton's email was hacked by Chinese intelligence. And basically, we have, as of the last 48 hours or so, if you haven't seen it, a whole smattering of articles that have been released by major news outlets. But depending on who you're reading, you get an entirely different set of facts, or at least what it seems like is everybody has their own political spin. And my goal today is to cut through this. As a perfect example, I will give you the article that CNN released, and I quote, "Senate investigators find no evidence China hacked Clinton server." Now, according to this 105-page memo, and I read all 105 pages of this, it's also why I didn't do a video yesterday, is because I wanted to give you guys an analysis of this that I think is accurate and fair, and I think CNN's title is accurate. There is no direct evidence, no smoking gun, that Chinese intelligence actually hacked Clinton's homebrew email server that she was running out of her home, apparently with her husband Bill. But here's the thing. The article doesn't necessarily have all of the information in there because it really doesn't speak to who would have hacked Hillary's email. And it seems that Hillary Clinton's email was indeed hacked. And this is coming from Declassified Intelligence. This is basically the Intelligence Community Inspector General, Chuck McCullough's investigator, Frank Rucker, in his interview notes that have now been declassified and submitted for public. This is what I read. Now, there is basically a snippet from about page 14 to about page 18 or so. And again, I am not getting into the politics of this, but this is absolutely fascinating. I think it's very telling as to what may have happened with Hillary's email server, or rather how it was hit. Now, I quote from page 14 of basically Rucker's closed-door interview with the Senate, and I quote, "Mr. Rucker said that his first interaction was dropping off a packet of information which contained a single printed email he told the FBI was not a good sign. In this email, he said Secretary Clinton replied to an email that she never received. He said he found this data point and reported it to the FBI. He said that he found the Carter Heavy's Industry Gmail address, which he had not seen before, and that it appeared to be hidden data." And so Rucker was then asked, and I quote, "What was the significance of this find, the Carter Heavy Industry email account?" Answer, Mr. Rucker said, "I'm not qualified to say, but it wasn't normal to see, and we felt it needed to be reported." Now, if you're wondering about this, Carter Heavy Industry is actually a Chinese company that has been reported to be a front for Chinese intelligence. Now, a quote from this report, again, he said, and I quote, he said that they found all but 4 of the more than 30,000 emails reviewed contained the Carter Heavy Industry email's address. And so a follow-up question by the Senate was asked of Mr. Rucker, and they asked, "What's your guess as to what the Carter Heavy Industry email address is or why it exists?" And his response, according to this report, and again, I quote, Mr. Rucker said that by example, they saw an email exchange between Anthony Weiner and his wife, Huma, and Clinton aide, Huma Abedin, where Weiner said that his email was hacked, and he learned that all of his emails were going or being routed to his opposition candidate. Mr. Rucker said that he assumed the anomaly in Secretary Clinton's email might be something similar, but he can't say for sure. Now, Here's the interesting thing about this. Basically, what he is saying, and what this alludes to on pages 15, 17, and 18, skipping 16, is that what ended up happening is somebody was able to get into the Clinton email server, embed a Gmail account that pointed to carterheavyindustries at gmail.com, if I remember correctly the full email address here. But basically what this means is that anytime Hillary would send or receive an email, basically a rule was inserted into her Microsoft Exchange account that would then forward that email to this Gmail account, and here we are. Now, the interesting part about this is that, for example, the CNN report did not mention this at all. Other reports have mentioned this, but this is very telling because obviously anybody could go to Gmail and make a Carter Heavy Industries email account to make it look like a Chinese intelligence cutout or something like that. They don't have direct evidence that that is actually in any way, shape, or form related to the Chinese. But here's the thing: the United States intelligence community has access to Gmail accounts. We know this as of at least 2014. Thanks to the documents that Edward Snowden released, aka the PRISM project, that basically pairs Google and Facebook and all of this with the NSA and other intelligence communities. And so I think it would be very easy for us to go through, or rather Google to go through and disclose who is accessing that, what emails they had, and all of this. But if we're looking at 30,000 emails that have been missing, and it appears that all except for 4 have been forwarded out of this mailbox, or rather Hillary Clinton's personal email server, then I think that's very telling. And again, this isn't political. I don't care if you love her or hate her. The point is that we have direct evidence that this email server was compromised. She is the former Secretary of State and former First Lady, and so that may be a very damaging thing to United States intelligence, in the sense that a lot of sensitive information may have been leaked out there. And I think that's a very serious thing that we need to address. And so if we are looking at this, you can go download the report yourself. You can go to page 14, 15, 17, and 18 and read exactly verbatim what I just read to you. It's out there for everybody to see. And I think it's something that is very interesting. And obviously there are more things that are coming to light, and people are going to be spinning this in every which way. But the bottom line is, if I'm looking at this report, well, yes, headlines are correct that we have no direct evidence that the Chinese hacked this. Clearly somebody was doing something that they shouldn't have been doing if they are literally able to replicate out on the back end by blinding email account outside of that email ecosystem. So that thing was hit. We just don't know by who necessarily, but I think it's very, very concerning. And this is also one of the reasons why we have compliance laws for government officials, to ensure that, one, they are sitting on email systems that are protected, and two, it gives us a complete record to ensure that nothing does get compromised for national security. And we have a Secretary of State with a homebrew email server. That's kind of a bit of a problem here, especially if official work was done. And I don't necessarily know if it was or not. I know the FBI investigation previously had found some of it, but it seems like, even if it was personal correspondence, it was still being hit, it was still being copied out. I think that's a big problem, and I think it's something that we really need to discuss, ideally in a nonpartisan way. I think that, if we're looking at this, we can all agree this is a problem. We don't necessarily have to agree on what the solution is. So there you go. And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.